truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
It's the issue that's dogged him and damaged him for more than a year.
I'm here to say to you, hand on heart, that I did not lie to the House.
We knew about lockdown-busting parties at Downing Street, but did the rule-breaking extend to Chequers, with the Prime Minister inviting friends to his official country residence in Buckinghamshire? While Boris Johnson has been touring the world, making speeches and making money, government lawyers have handed evidence from his own ministerial diaries to the police. The assertion by the Cabinet Office that there have been further COVID rule breaches is totally untrue. Lawyers have examined the events in question and advised that they were lawful. No contact was made with Mr Johnson before these incorrect allegations were made, both to the police and to the Privileges Committee. This is both bizarre and unacceptable. And while Boris Johnson's allies want to move on...
I'm just hearing this now, but my sense of all of this is that, frankly, the Prime Minister, or former Prime Minister, has been through that. We've investigated that. The country's dealt with that. I think the world's moved on, quite frankly, and it raises further questions about the role of the civil service in all of this.
Opposition parties are angry.
Right now, I think the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, needs to make sure that not a single penny more is spent on Boris Johnson's defence during his lying inquiry. And I think Boris Johnson, in light of everything that's happened, needs to consider whether really he should be an MP.
I just believe it's wrong that the taxpayer is continuing to fund Boris Johnson's legal defence here. Rishi Sunak should bring that to an end. And Boris Johnson will now have to explain himself yet again to the authorities. This is just more sleaze.
Both the Met and Thames Valley Police are now investigating.
If he saw a friend on a social visit when he shouldn't have, it would be fixed penalty notices. If that wasn't falling within one of the exceptions in the rules, so in the region of 50 to 100 and something pounds.
These latest revelations could delay the Privileges Committee inquiry into whether Mr Johnson misled Parliament. And yet again, it drags Rishi Sunak into answering questions about the past when he's desperate to focus on the future.
And Joe's in Downing Street tonight. And Joe, the sense was a potential political comeback for Boris Johnson had been receding. Had it got even more remote now, do you think?
I think it probably has, Anna, but the real problem here, I think, is really for Rishi Sunak. On his first day at Downing Street, on the steps behind me, he promised integrity, professionalism, accountability at every level of government, and yet bad headlines about bad past alleged behaviour just seem to not want to stop. You've got Boris Johnson and Partygate omnipresent. You've got recently Dominic Raab and how he treated civil servants, Nadeem Zahawi's finances, and then in the past few days, Suella Braverman and this speed awareness course, an issue which isn't yet resolved. Of course, these sort of mini scandals don't have the Prime Minister at their heart, although Rishi Sunak, of course, was fined for one Partygate event. But this does tarnish, I think those in Number 10 believe, the Conservative brand, something that, of course, Rishi Sunak wants to burnish ahead of the next general election expected next year. The other issue here, which I think is of concern to some Conservative MPs, is the fact that the Civil Service and the Cabinet Office were the ones to refer all of this information to both the police and to the Privileges Committee. It feeds into a worry, a concern in some parts of the Conservative Party, the backbenches, that some civil servants aren't being entirely fair and balanced with how they have worked with some Conservative ministers. Now, of course, senior civil servants, I'm sure the Prime Minister would contest that, but it doesn't help Rishi Sunak in governing, and that is difficult when he has a lot of challenges on his plate, including immigration later this week.